What's up, people? Welcome to this Friday Live by the Hood. I'm your host, as always. My name is Jimmy. This is our Friday show. We come in and talk to people in the community and talk about things going on in the world of investing. Got my partner in crime, Corey, with me. Corey, what's good?
Everything is good, man. Breathing equals good. So I'm good.
Yeah, man. That's always a blessing, man. We always talk about the value of time, and as long as you got some time, man, you can make things happen, right?
Exactly, man. You can time is the magic elixir, man. When everybody be talking about, getting rich or doing or your health or whatever, it's all about what your time look like, man. And people don't
Hmm.
understand that. And so, I really do I need to start talking about that more. But
Hey, listen, man. Just make sure you drop that hashtag on your time and space, man. Um, this evening we're going to talk about investing in Nike as well as your favorite consumer products. Talk a little bit about the week Nike had though. But before we get into that, man, how was your week?
Uh, it was all right. I mean, I ain't lose no money this week, which is I've been bleeding recently, so this week at least the bleeding stopped. Um, uh, I bought two stocks this week. I bought XPXU, which is
Hmm.
a three times bear. Um, it's a stock three times bear that tracks the XPX.
Okay.
um, S&P 500, and then I bought SQQQ, which is a three times bear that tracks the Nasdaq. And so what I did is I bought them as a hedge against my I bought them as a hedge against my portfolio because I always want to be making money in whatever market is going on. And so I bought 200 of each of those, and I'm going to run cover calls on 100 of them, and then I'm
Okay.
going to keep 100 of them in the tuck no matter what.
Yeah.
If once I get down, if I happen to lose them one week, what I'll do is I'll run the wheel on them. Sort of what I'll do is I'll buy them again. I'll start running I'll start selling puts on them until I get
Okay.
it back to 200. So that's what I'm planning on doing with those,
Yeah.
as a hedge against my portfolio.
Only thing this week MGK. So I bought some MGK as always. And that was pretty much it. I didn't run any options this week. It was nothing I saw that I liked this week. I didn't even run my cover calls this week because I didn't like the premium, so I just left that alone. I bought some metals as always. Bought some crypto. So pretty light week. I'm still working on this real estate project. I need someone. Everybody watching, man. You know somebody that does a cheap clean out because the dude I usually use for clean out been so busy. Trying to get this thing cleaned out and washed up to get ready to put on the market. But so been working on this real estate project for a little minute, but it's pretty much done and ready. So working on that. But like, again, if anybody watching knows some cheap cleanouts in Philadelphia, man, just hit me up. Other than that, man, the week was good, man. A lot of crazy news in the market. People still in their Tesla bag all on my timeline. I don't know about yours.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
the,
Everybody
the,
was running that Tesla head first. Tesla dipped down damn near to 350. Finished the
yeah,
week a little bit over 400. So, if you caught that dip, you made a couple dollars this week.
yeah, the Church of Elon was still popping, man. Let's get to some people checking in with us, man. Checking with the family. Jabbar, what's up, bro?
What's going on?
Yeah, man. He said we breathing and we good. That's absolutely right, man. Hashtag Nike, hashtag profits. Absolutely. Ev, what's good, man? How you?
Year
Yeah. Welcome to the Peloton family, bro. You already know.
right.
Yeah,
Peloton
first
down.
money. Yeah, man. Sierra's checking with us. What's up, Sierra? How you?
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah, man. Okay, so everything's good. William. Okay, I guess that's a clean out. All right, I got that, man. Way to put it in the comments, man. So it's there. I'll hit him up and see what's good with him though, man. Um, but this episode we're gonna talk about Nike. Nike had an interesting week, but before we jump directly into Nike, I want to ask you a question, right? Because one of the things that when we're in the community and we're talking to people back when outside was open, one of the things we always get conversations about are people looking to buy their favorite consumer products. And when
Okay.
we talk about that, Nike is always at the top of the list. There hasn't been one room that we've been in
Where Nike hasn't
where
come up.
where Nike
Nike,
hasn't come up, right?
Nike be like, if you hear Apple and then you hear Nike, like
Yeah,
every
yeah, yeah.
room you ever go
Apple,
to,
Apple and
Apple,
Nike.
Nike.
It's almost like it doesn't matter what room you're in. I'm talking about even when we talking to people in prison,
Yeah,
Nike, Apple, like those two
yeah.
companies, and I'm glad you brought up Apple because they're right along with Nike. Come up in every room that we're in when we're talking about getting started, about investing, about companies. Those
I
two
mean,
companies,
if you buy those two companies, you'll be all right. Like
yeah.
if you don't overdo it and just buy those two companies, you'll end up okay. Like
All right, well, first off,
those
let me say this for Corey getting his bag. This is not investment advice.
not investment advice,
We're talking about our
but
personal experience, and this is just for education and entertainment purposes only. Because I see Corey about to get in his bag, so I want to make sure I say that.
their history suggests that if you just buy those two companies, you'll be okay.
Yeah, so I just think that talking about your favorite consumer product is a great way for a lot of people to start, but also just to throw out the disclaimer that because you like a product or like a company doesn't
Doesn't
mean that
mean
it's a
it's
good
any good.
purchase. Because a lot of times they got trash books or trash management or something about them is trash. We don't feel that way about the two companies that were mentioned, but I just think Nike is interesting for that reason because they have an interesting relationship with our community, right?
Yeah, they
We
do.
love our Nikes, man. Even though it's all built upon a bunch of BS, and what I mean by that is, at the end of the day, we put a value on that logo. Um, you know,
And we
that's
can put
that's
the
just what it
same
is.
value in any other logo that we want to.
Yeah, that's a whole different story. You know what I'm saying? But all right. Shout out to Everett. We got a couple more comments. I just want to address before we jump into it, though. Mike, what's up, bro? How you?
What's going on, Mike?
Serious good. That's what's up. Callie, what's up? How you,
Callie,
Callie?
what's going on?
That's right. Yo, shout out to Callie, who owns her own cleaning service, and I know she got some specials. I talked to her yesterday. She was like, "Make sure you mention I got specials going on. So if you if you need anything clean, and Callie, I might be giving you a call personally. Once I get this clean out on this property, I'm coming to the end of it, so I'll probably get you to clean it out before we put it on the market. But that's another story. Getting back to Nike, right? So, and I want to read some interesting data that I looked up before we came on, right? So, this past quarter, right? They
Yeah.
slipped 1% compared to last year, but in slipping 1%, their profits increase. You know what I'm saying? And that's a big change from June, because then Nike posted a loss of 38% of sales, but their stock is up 8% in the last week's performance. Like, it's just interesting because their sales slip, but their profits increase. That's why it's important to make sure that you do research when you look at these companies, right? To look at all the various financials, because all these financials are available for you and it's public information. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
So they
So
didn't make as many sales. They didn't make as many sales because I mean the world was closed. So they had to readjust how they made those sales. And so basically what they did is they made bigger sales. So you know what I mean? They made more money, but they didn't sell as many products. So that's part of all of that's all part of the supply and demand dynamic. You know, if you study any kind of economics, that's all part of the supply and demand dynamic. You know, they made more money, so they found the sweet spot basically. They went
yeah,
from one sweet spot and then they found another sweet spot as to as far as their price range is concerned, and they made more money even though they sold to less people.
yeah. A
So
couple more comments. Yo, Mark, please tell me you're not messing with the kid. Yo, Mark, I had to fire homie a while ago, man. I meant to tell you that, Mark. I get with you offline about that, but Bo is a contractor. He's a bum. Like 98% of the contractors in Philadelphia. We fired Bo a minute ago because he was trash truck juice. And by your comment, I can see you don't mess with him no more either. But Michael Gray says Nike kill earnings plus online sales. I'm glad you brought that up, Mike, because we're about to talk about that online sales piece. Callie, you already know. Nike owners are happy this week. Yeah. So one of the big things was their online sales. Their online sales, hit record
yeah,
numbers. And I saw, because at one point they were on Zappos. I'm not sure if they completely pulled off of Zappos, but they took a lot of their products off Zappos and invested in their own infrastructure in terms of online sales. So I thought that was interesting. But I'm gonna give you some more data that I got. But before I do, for the people watching, please do me a favor. Please hit the like button. share. Make sure you guys leave a comment and communicate with us as we are on this live so we can see what you guys think about what we're talking about. But just some more information about Nike, right? So here's what's interesting that I find interesting is that Nike, right? So the online sales is one part of it, but another part of it was interesting to me when you read the data was their vintage shoes, right? So they have an advantage in the marketplace that a lot of people don't. I was reading about like when there's slumps in their sales, they always like find a way to bring back their vintage shoes.
Yeah, my brother was just telling me they dropped the Bo Jacksons again last week in another pair of vintage shoes. I was like, damn, they dropped the Bows again. I missed that. Like, I just totally missed it because that's my second favorite pair of Nikes. Like, my favorite pair of Nikes was Ken Griffey's, and then I like the Bo Jacksons. Like, I bought more pair of Ken Griffey's than most people buy Jordan. I bought a gang of Ken Griffey's. I bought every color and the Bo Jacksons. I had the Auburn colored Jones. I had the black and white ones, the black on black. Like,
I mean, they got certain sneaks that are just iconic. Whether you're talking about the Air Force One, like, you know, although they, you know,
Air Force One,
a lot of dope heads wear them now. But Air Max 95s, the Jordan 11s, like there's so many iconic sneaks they have. But my point is, Nike as well as other iconic brands had this advantage that they always can go back into the tuck and just re-release something. And they said that was one of the keys to this past quarter was like re-releasing some of the old vintage stuff in the sales. It's like if you're new to the marketplace, like no one cares. Like, I guess what's the newest sneaker to the marketplace? What's Steph's shoe?
The Pumas.
Pumas got Clyde. Puma has that too. I'm talking about like a newer sneak. What's the brand that Steph's rep by?
Under Armour.
Don't nobody care about like 2014 under. Like, you can't go back. You can't play on the nostalgia.
You're not re-releasing no Under Armours. You're not doing that.
Listen,
nobody wants no 2015 Steph Curry's. Nobody wants them.
And in reading that, it was
10 years they might. In 10 years they might, but right now they don't want them.
But that's what I'm saying. But Nike has a long history. And I was reading the market book. It says nostalgia is one of the greatest marketing weapons. It says because when you have products that evoke a sense of nostalgia, it brings people to comfort, reminding them of better times. So within the marketplace, Nike has that advantage where other people just really don't, right? And to give you an example, Air Force Ones, which came out about 38 years ago, last quarter, they saw a huge resurgence with Nike dropping a bunch of Air Force Ones. It's the most purchased shoe of 2020. Air Force Ones. Air Force Ones are the most purchased shoe of 2020 when they basically dumped them in the marketplace and people just copped them all up. Crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that's because of places like StockX and stuff like that, right? So now they have an even bigger advantage because of all these niche shoe collectors, right? So before they had an advantage because of nostalgia, but now with StockX and all of the shoe collectors and stuff like that, that advantage is just exploding.
Well, that's the secondary market. But not even talking about the secondary. I'm talking about Nike's earnings, right?
No, I'm saying, but you have to purchase them originally to even get them to the secondary market. That's what I'm saying. That's what makes their advantage.
No, understood. But that's where the supply and demand comes in terms of how they like get those prices up there. Let me get to a couple comments before I make my next comment. That's also hilarious in there. Shout out to Spoon. Spoon's checking in on YouTube. What's up, Spoon? How you, bro?
Yeah, Spoon.
We got another one, Sanko for clean outs and junk removal. Okay, I'll try to hit them up too. Here you go. Kahan, what's up, bro? Had a 90% return on my Nike call this week. Good to see some green because my other call took a bloodbath. That's what's up. That's what's up. Vintage and collabs. Yeah. Okay, that's for that one. Clear love. China sales are up too. Yo, Michael's on it because I was getting ready to bring up about like, you know, the overseas piece. That was a huge part of what I was getting ready to bring up. And he did mention Under Armour. Yeah, anybody trying like, yo, we about to re-release the Under Armour one. Like, it's not a thing yet. You know what I'm saying? That's a fact about nostalgia. Yeah, I was laughing ever since the Free Nelly album came with him.
Yo, that's funny. Your
stock market, Coach Carter, what's up, bro? Yeah, so you know, Air Force One in 2020 is the most purchased shoe, which is nuts because it came out 38 years ago, so it's your most purchased shoe. Now, Something else I found interesting in looking at the numbers. Jordans, right? So
Yeah.
Jordans have been around since '84. But one of the things that helped Jordans go crazy this last quarter, they can literally tie it to the Last Dance documentary. So
Yeah.
Nike also has this advantage in the marketplace in terms of like, their sponsors, the way they use their relationships with specific athletes and all that other content. So they talked about the NBA coming back in the bubble, helped Nike. That documentary helped Nike, all these things because of their penetration into the NBA. I've read on some places where it says Nike is probably more powerful than half the teams in the NBA in terms of the NBA. Like, think about how crazy that is. You have your upper echelon teams, but then Nike is probably more powerful than some of your lower, your lower tier teams.
Like nobody would, like if Nike and the Memphis Grizzlies have a beef, Nike gonna win.
Why are you picking on the Grizzlies, cuz? But I'm just saying, like,
I ain't lying.
Their penetration into basketball is absolutely insane. But that also goes to their relationship with our community, right?
And that goes because our community relates with the players. And that's because of the players that they have. You know what I mean? Like, so their relationship with our community is through the players.
Yeah,
right? That's why they pay for they pay for top tier talent. That's why they give them these long they give them these long lucrative contracts. That's why they gave LeBron $1 billion over 20 years, and they gave what's the name, 90 million before he even played a game. What's the boy name?
Zion.
Zion. They gave him 90 million before he even played a game. So his actual rookie contract don't even mean nothing.
Yeah, I mean, that's insane. I was looking at Kevin Durant, right? And they were talking about his $30 million a year contract from Nike. That puts him ahead of people like who was it they were comparing him to? It was an NFL player that makes something. No, matter of fact, who was it? It was a baseball player that makes like $40 million a year. The highest paid baseball player makes like $40 million a year.
Mike Trout.
Yeah, Mike Trout. That's exactly what it was. So Mike Trout makes $40 million a year, and they said that Kevin Durant doesn't make as much on the basketball court, but Mike Trout only makes about $2.5 million off the field, where Kevin Durant just with Nike alone is making $30 million a year. You know what I mean? So I think that's interesting, their relationship with the community. Now you see Adidas coming on, but Nike, their stock shot up to an all-time high this past week. And
it retraced by the end of the week, though.
It did. No, it didn't hold, but it still made that new high though. But the point in talking about Nike is not just the fact that it hit that number, it's the fact that it's one of the top consumer brands, at least in our experience when we talk to our folks. For those who just tuned in, I see our viewers went up on both YouTube and Facebook. We're talking about Nike in the context of purchasing your favorite consumer brand, because one of the things I said earlier is when Corey and I are in the community talking to people, there are two companies that come up no matter where we are, whether we're on the street, whether we're in a library, a church, or even a prison. Our folks talk about Nike and Apple. And when you watch the week that Nike had, and also I just want to talk about those various things, because when you look at companies' valuations and the value of a stock, you have so much data you can look at, which I just ran down a lot of the data, but also you have external influences, right? And when you talk about external influences, and shout out to Kahan, who talked about he had a contract in Nike this week. You know, if I was really thinking about it, it would have made sense to buy a Nike contract, which I didn't. But when you think about all those factors I named, the Bulls documentary with Jordan, with them implementing their website, going to putting a lot of money behind e-commerce. And when you look at the NBA bubble coming back, it only makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So my question to you is this, though, and we got a good matter of fact, I'm gonna let him ask the question, because I was going to ask this question. I tell you, Michael in the chat is on fire, because everything I'm getting ready to bring up, like I feel like I'm looking at my notes, man. Like my notes must have linked online, because Mike is like beating me to the punch. But shout out to Latoya, who's definitely a supporter. We appreciate you. She said Nike's definitely higher than the Pelicans. I probably think so too. They cut me more bread. But here's the question I was going to ask you, and I'm going to let Michael ask it, because this was literally in my notes. Nike or Adidas? Which one do you think is a better global company?
Adidas.
Now, interesting word about that.
No hesitation. Adidas.
Really?
Worldwide, globally, Yeah, because soccer's a bigger game, and Adidas got that game on lock. So,
but now, real quick, stop right there. You're probably right, but doesn't that mean that there's still more growth for Nike because Nike is
it
growing
does.
faster than else in the sport?
He said right now. If you're talking about right now, Adidas is the bigger brand. Adidas dwarfs Nike worldwide. So we're talking about.
I think I'm gonna look it up though.
I'm not gonna say dwarfs them, but I would say Adidas is the bigger brand because they got Adidas and Reebok, and you know what I mean. They got a lot of other little brands that also get a lot of play in these places that's not America. But here in America, Nike, if you ask me about America, China, I'm gonna say Nike. But you talking about globally, like the rest of the world,
Adidas. All right, so Adidas is worth about $64 billion. They're not bigger than Nike at this point. I don't think so. Nike gotta be worth way more than that.
I wouldn't say way more than that.
Nike is worth $155 billion.
Damn, Nike made the comeback, huh? Nike made the comeback of all comebacks.
Nike cooked they dumb ass. but I also think that it's still
but as a global brand. But if you ask me about a global brand, I'll always say Adidas because soccer's the bigger game. Until soccer's not the bigger. Basketball is fast catching soccer as the world sport. But if you're just talking about a brand, Adidas get busy around.
Right, now I don't want to get too political, right? So I've traveled the world. I've seen how big soccer is and cricket and all these other sports that we really don't pay attention to in our country. I shouldn't say that because a lot of people's kids play soccer, so they watch soccer, but they really don't support soccer the way they do hoops and football, at least not in our community.
Yeah.
But a lot of the countries that I've been to where soccer is like life, they don't have resources. A lot of poor countries.
Yeah.
So
when you look at it like that, it's not as a consumer brand, Nike, because Nike's bigger in the places where people consume more. So I can see why it dwarfs it in sales and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that's, man. No, I'm telling you, shout out to everybody who tunes in with us on Friday and leaves comments. I think that because I watch a lot of like lives on Facebook and YouTube. I probably watch Facebook and YouTube lives more than I watch TV at this point because I like to support other content creators. But I think that the people that watch us, we got some of the smartest people because the comments are like, some, not going to call myself smart. Some of the things I were going to say and some of the things in my notes are already in the comments. So I just want to make sure I highlight them all. So Latoya says, sadly, people don't do thorough research. That's a problem. Mark says that he also agrees with Adidas. Now, Antonio, shout out to Antonio, man. Antonio is a legend, man. He's a stock trader who's been in the game for multiple decades. Make sure you check him out on our podcast. He was on it a couple weeks ago. But he says Nike and Apple are both legacy stocks. Buying increments like paying a bill. And Latoya with a good comment. She talks about how basketball is also now emerging globally, which is true.
That's what I was saying. It's fast catching. It's catching up to the soccer as the global sport because all you need is a ball and a hoop. You don't need nobody else to get busy in basketball.
Yeah, Nike has an entry into the soccer space with merchandise, and that's what I'm saying. When you think about the growth, there's still a lot of growth for Nike globally speaking. So that's what makes it an interesting company to me. People that play soccer are poor except the pros, and that's what I was saying. Like when you go across the world, there's a lot of poor folks. Here's a comment for you. I buy Adidas shoes, but Nike stock. Antonio, that's a great comment. And I'm going to tell you why that's a great comment. Because one of the things we're talking about outside of Nike is your favorite consumer brand and investing in your favorite consumer brand. And so that's a lot of advice. A lot of times we give people that advice is about look at your favorite consumer brands, but with the caveat, make sure they're good companies. Because a lot of times you'll have a company that's one of your favorite brands and it's a trash brand. So make sure that, and I'm not calling Adidas a trash brand at all. I'm just saying that just because you like a product doesn't mean you should buy its company, but it's a good place to start when you're talking about looking, top teams in the world. This is absolutely true. So, so you think that, well, looking at the market cap of each company, Nike is like doing Nike cooking right now. Yeah, they're cooking right now.
They triple Adidas, but we looked at this when we was doing our summer camp with the kids, and at that time Adidas was beating Nike over the brands, which was 2.5 years ago. So Nike just grew and But see, Nike's share price has grown darn near 100% in the last year. So,
Yeah.
because right when Kaepernick was going through the stuff with Nike, Nike's share price was $75. It was $75 at that time. It's 100 and it topped 130 this week. That's almost, that's like 80% growth
That's crazy.
over
That's crazy.
over a year. So you're talking about in a year is almost grown 80%. So those numbers you're seeing of why they're dwarfing Adidas is because of that recent growth. Because Nike used to grow like a snail, but this year it's grown darn near 80%. Is that sustainable?
Yeah. I mean, it's still a lot of mark from the capture. Adidas are cheaper sneaks. Nike too expensive for me. Everett, you got it, man. You out here getting it, man.
Yeah, you riding around and you getting it. And it fell to 65 in March.
5 in March. That's nuts. Run DMC vintage Adidas. That's right. Let me ask you this question. Here's what I want to ask you, right? And it's not just to you. I want to ask this to you as well as everybody watching. What are some of your favorite consumer brands that you wouldn't mind having in your portfolio? I mean, if you know off the top of your head, I'm pretty sure you do.
I mean, Microsoft, all Microsoft products. So everything with Microsoft, I buy. I don't buy Apple products because I don't like being stuck in their little Apple universe. Like, because Microsoft allows other, stuff to integrate easier. I like Microsoft products better than Apple products because of the integration, because they allow it easier. Like Apple be rejecting it, and so I don't really mess with Apple products. So as a consumer, I buy Microsoft products. And I wouldn't mind holding that stock at all. That's my favorite stock.
Okay. What else as a consumer? What else do you use as a consumer that you also wouldn't mind having in your portfolio?
Yes. So Sony, I would put that in my portfolio.
So you a PS guy, not an Xbox guy. Well, Xbox is Microsoft though.
It is. I mean, to be honest, my kids got both, but they like the PS5 better than the Xbox.
Respect that. All right. So what else? What's up? And for the folks out there, let me know what's a consumer product that you actually use that you wouldn't mind having as part of your portfolio. Let's see if we can come with a list of some companies
Nike easy. I mean, they just grow and grow. And Nike Adidas, I wouldn't mind having that in my portfolio. They're not going nowhere. Oh man, off the top of my head, there's some Procter and Gamble products that I use. They have so many brands that it's hard to name all the brands that they have. Mm-hmm. But I would love Procter and Gamble in my portfolio. I have some in my portfolio. Man, that I use every day.
It's funny because I always think about like M1, right? So M1 allows you to make the pies. I always think about making a pie like
stuff you just consume every day.
Yeah. Call it my consumer pie. But
you know what I use every day, and I will use their Facebook.
Yeah, there you go.
Facebook.
You go. How about Google? All of us use Google.
Yeah, Facebook, Google.
Don't let me y'all on nothing else. Don't even lie.
Yeah. So yeah, that kind of stuff. I mean, I can go on and on, like, because we do the online life, like Zoom. I use Zoom every day. I will put that in my what's the name too. I will put that in my portfolio too.
Zoom is a great part, right? So when I look at the consumer products I use, the one product that I probably have the most loyalty to is probably Degrees as like a deodorant. Like I love like that. I've used that pretty much every day since before I was a teenager. Like literally, I don't use anything else. And I was, so one of the things you do when you get into investing, you start playing this game with yourself, which you probably shouldn't do because I get real sick with it. I look at some of the things that I use and then I go back like, what if I ought to just start buying it then when I first start using it? You know what I'm saying? You play that game with yourself. Like, what if I'd have been buying Nike stock when the first time I bought Nikes in 19 fill in the blank? And you see the results and it makes you sick. That's why I said you can't be getting caught up in that. But it's owned by Unilever. And Unilever is another one of those companies, dog.
Yeah, man. They got like 7 million brands. You can't get away from them.
Man, listen. So don't play those games with yourself because it's a fun game to play, but don't get caught up in it and start getting upset because I've done that to myself. Rest in peace to my mom. I literally called my mom one time like, yo, why didn't you buy me, Nike stock? Like, and she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, yo, you bought me. I'm like, I start breaking it down. Like, when I was 8 years old, you was buying me savings bonds. I'm like, yo, you would have just bought Nike stock. She's like, I don't know about no Nike stock now or then, but
Yeah.
yeah. So don't
Shout
play
out
those
to
games.
the savings bonds though.
Yeah, the savings bonds come clutch, but a lot of our grandparents and parents, that's what they used to do. They used to buy savings bonds, right? So play that game with yourself. Look at the savings bonds you got when you were a kid, and then put it into your favorite company. But let's get into back some of these comments, man. But that would drive you crazy too, by the way.
Yeah.
Here's a comment for you from Latoya. I bought P&G when I had the twins because I needed to feel like I was getting the return on my investment due to all the diapers I was running through.
Shout out to Latoya. That's dope.
Yeah, it hit different when you feel like you own a piece. Yeah. Sierra,
Buy myself.
There you go. Antonio talks about other Nike brands. Cole Haan, Converse, Hurley. I didn't know they had Hurley. I didn't know that was a Nike brand. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I knew all the other
definitely a Nike brand.
And Umbro. I didn't know Umbro was Nike.
I did. I knew that also.
I didn't really, look at it. Spoon says,
you know why I know that though? Because remember we used to get on Stockpile, they show you all the brands that they own.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew that because of there.
Got you. Yo, he said he's in the matrix with Apple. Here's the interesting thing about that, right? So I'm one of them boys who don't do the whole Android Apple thing because I use both. You know what I'm saying? I'm like Kevin Gates. I got two phones, but but the thing about Apple that I will give Apple credit for, one of the things about having a controlled environment, not letting a lot of people in, it actually helps you in terms of how smooth and how good your stuff runs because you ain't letting nobody else bring their software junk in there. But that's a whole other story, more for a tech show. I'm buying stock in just about everything I purchase or frequent. That's a good thing but just be careful. Make sure that you're buying good stuff. Like, just because there's a store you go to or something you consume, make sure it's a good stock. And if you need help with that, you know how to reach us, Sierra. We definitely help you with that. Antonio, Kimberly Clark, because everybody wipes their behind and they pay attention.
Yeah, man. Kimberly Clark, you're busy.
Antonio, I want to know, can I use you as a quote? It says, buy Kimberly Clark because everybody wipes their behind and they pay a dividend. That's a nice quote right there. But Kimberly Clark is another one of those companies, another powerful company. Mike was a nice little portfolio right here of companies that he uses, right? Colgate, can't forget about that, right? Microsoft, Procter & Gamble, Apple, and Nike. That's hard. Like that's 5 companies right there and their product that you use, and that's a nice little portfolio right there. All right. So I'd like to get your opinion on this one, right? So Everett, right? So Everett said, would Peloton be a good stock? Now, Everett, here's what I'll tell you about Peloton, man. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a Peloton boy. Shout out to my Peloton family. I got the treadmill, one of the best purchases I ever made. And when I bought it, we've had it for a little over a year now. And we bought a bunch of Peloton stock and we bought it. We're up. I don't even know. It's over 200% since we bought it. Let's put it that way. It's to the point now, and I talk about this on like our Black Wealth show, Black Wealth Project that comes on Sundays. My Peloton stock has paid for my Peloton, right? And I say all that to say this. I'm not saying that to brag or anything like that. What I'm saying that for is because how much further can it run up? I don't know. But I did catch that one run. I caught that. Listen, I caught that. I'm good now. But when you look at where we're going in the world, right, with people being at home, and the one thing I know about Peloton is they're also sticky in the sense that once you get it or use it, and you'll see, because I was shouting you out because I saw you just got one. And once it gets delivered and you start to use it, they're very good. The psychology, they're really good at making you feel like you're part of something. It's almost like a cult. I ain't gonna lie to you. So I can see people going from one version to the next version. It could be one of those things. And their quality is like the Peloton. I got the tread, like I said, but the bike and the tread, I've seen them both. The quality is better than what you'll find in most gyms, but you have it in your home. That's the most powerful thing about it. But how far up it goes, I don't know, because the interesting thing about that is when you read, I was reading their 10K and they were talking about the fact that their product isn't the treadmill or the bike. Their product is the monthly membership. They're a membership company who just draws you into their membership via their hardware, which is the bike or the tread. So how they measure everything is, just from monthly memberships, right? So that's what kind of company they are. They're not really a hardware company. They're not a bike or a tread company. They're a membership company. Yeah, man. So to answer your question, I talked all around that to say that it's possible. I would do some research. Hit me up off here. We'll talk about it and like do some more. I haven't really looked to see what
they got stern. I'm gonna say this. They got stern competition now because Amazon and Apple are entering the space. And that
hold on, Amazon came out and said that was a lie, that they didn't have anything to do with that Prime bike. They said the other company was fraud and trying to use their name. So
Apple definitely said they getting in the space.
Well, Apple's going through their watch. Apple is using their watch. But I still think it's a little different because Apple has that watch, but although they're a membership company, I think that they've established their brand in the marketplace and they have the advantage of having that hardware. So Apple can do that, but I can also get an Apple Watch and then, mirror it to my, but that's a whole other story. But I would just say, like, do research if you're looking at it for the future. That's what I would say about that.
Yeah.
Spoon says that Google, YouTube, he just cut the cord with his cable and discovered YouTube TV. YouTube TV is amazing, especially for people that love YouTube, because you feel like I get on my TV via watching YouTube. I've used it before. So yeah, Google is another consumer company that I wouldn't mind owning as well. Adidas and Unilever, 2 more from Michael, which is pretty good. Sportsbook, let's see. So we got some more comments here. Malik says, Rick, I have no idea what that's in reference to, Malik, but shout out to Rick, whoever he is. I use PayPal a lot to get paid. I like PayPal stock. PayPal is interesting to me. I own Square. The PayPal is interesting too. The most interesting thing about me with PayPal is PayPal's history. It has nothing to do with the stock, but it does everything to do with the stock. When you look at all the people that came through PayPal, but also their brand, right? So their brand is very recognizable. You can say, "Hey, PayPal me." Once your brand becomes like a verb, that's like next level.
Yep, that means you got sticking power. It's like when kids ask for McDonald's, even though you might be at Burger King or Wendy's, and they ask for McDonald's. It's crazy.
Yeah, people say, "Man, I need some Clorox," like stuff like that. I follow y'all. Salute to you, Sierra. We appreciate that. We appreciate all your support. So here's Spoon's opinion: making a killing on Peloton. They are a perfect company. Spoon, I love Peloton. I don't know if there's such thing as a perfect company though. That's an interesting comment. They're a perfect company, but I get your point. You're very bullish on Peloton. Let's see. Yeah, Peloton riding the COVID in-home workout trend. Absolutely. I bought Peloton in March around 30 share.
Yeah.
Let's go.
They riding around and getting it.
Let's go. Oh, this is what he meant by this. All right, I appreciate that. They're a perfect company for a larger company like to acquire, like an Amazon. Okay, I could see that too, right? So if you're Google or Amazon, as opposed to like, all right, so now Apple wants to get in this space, like let's just buy them. They already got the hardware, they got the brand, and Amazon. One thing I like about Amazon, right? And I think Spoon brought this up maybe last time we had him on, or maybe in the private conversation, but he was talking about their ability to acquire companies and run them, which is very important, because I see Google acquire companies a lot of times and like they kill them. Like I remember Google acquired Motorola at one point and it just didn't work well. Amazon has the ability to acquire companies, let them run the way they've been running, let them just go off and do their thing. But they own like a Zappos, like an Audible. A lot of people don't realize that Audible wasn't always Amazon. I was on Audible before it was Amazon. It wasn't Amazon at the time. So Audible. Zappos wasn't always an Amazon company, but Amazon has an ability to acquire companies, bring them into their portfolio, but still allow them and their management to go off and run the way they run. So I think that's a great point, Spoon, because if you want to get into that space, right, and all the big tech companies want to, because all the data is there.
Yeah,
all the data is there. So that's a good point. That's what he meant by perfect. I see what you're saying there. That actually makes sense. I'm waiting on my bike now. All right, salute to Sierra, man.
Oh man, y'all getting it. Y'all got a couple miles. I'm gonna be like y'all when I grow up, man.
Listen, man, welcome to the family, Sierra, man. Make sure you hit me up on there. You know what I'm saying?
When I grow up, man.
I'm at JW the Blueprint, aka Tread Hampton is what they call me on there. You know what I'm saying? I'm Tread. I'm Tread Hampton, but it is what it is, man. and this is another good point that he makes too, sitting on pure cash. Listen, another great point. Listen, Michael is in his bag tonight. Michael, man, we might as well let you come on with us one time and teach, because that's the great point. Because a lot of times when you look at companies' books, look and see how much cash they holding on to. How much do they have? How much do they have, like, sitting on the side? More cheaper bikes coming.
Yeah.
And this is the point that Antonio made that I was saying. Peloton is creating that Apple-like cult following. Yes, they are. And they do such a great job of it because they do small things, right? So first of all, they have this thing like Peloton badges where it's like you almost become obsessed with it. They do this thing with Peloton streaks. I have like a 35-week streak going on. I have a 95-day streak, and I will hurt somebody before I break it because it's almost like it becomes psychological. They do things like send you random gifts, right? So, they got your information. So you'll go to your mailbox one day and it'll be like a t-shirt or something like, just want to send you a shout out. They have this amazing way of making you feel like it's really a community, which is great marketing. It's great marketing. So it does work. It does work.
Rick's Cabaret.
They own adult entertainment facilities. I got you. That's your brand, Malik.
I ain't mad at that.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, when your brand is a verb, that's powerful. Yeah. Make sure you quote me on that. But let's see. McDonald's is a good stock. All the real estate they own. Yeah. As mentioned in our book, Own Your Time and Space, we got a whole chapter about McDonald's. As a matter of fact, let me look, because the name of the chapter is interesting. But we actually talk about the fact that McDonald's is a real estate company. And
that sells hamburgers.
That sells hamburgers, but I don't want to misquote myself. But I just want to show you guys that we talked about that a while ago. People got hit to that when the movie came out, but it's something that I had read a long time ago about McDonald's.
Yeah, man, McDonald's in the Catholic Church. I heard that before I even started investing, man.
And that's it.
You want to talk about
the name of the actual chapter is called, you can see that, Big Mac in the Bible. And why is Big Mac in the Bible? Is because it also talks about the wealth of the Catholic Church and how that's also tied to land. So, great point from Wayne. What's up, Wayne? How are you? Whole Foods, another Amazon example. Exactly. Yeah, I forgot about them too. Yep. Let them keep running their own thing. We're going to cop them. We own that, but they're going to keep continuing their Whole Foods thing. So that's another great example. Appreciate that. You know what I'm saying?
The bike. Peloton people.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying, Antonio. Amazon they found a way to operate like a holding company. I noticed, like with Google, and probably not all of their products, but a lot of times when they buy companies, they don't operate that way. They try to bring them into the fold.
Yeah, they try to tinker with them too much. Where Amazon just be like, all right, do whatever you were already doing. We just going, we're gonna bring in some of that dough though. We're gonna bring in that cash.
Yeah.
She talking about buying Peloton, getting money.
Listen, I'm telling you, once you get in, once you win, you win, man. Once they prick your finger and they
keep trying to bring me into the fold, man. I keep resisting this urge to be a Peloton person, man. But y'all, I'm feeling the peer pressure, man. Everybody around me is a Peloton person. I'm feeling that peer pressure, man. Like, damn, I'm fat. Everybody else around me getting skinny because y'all got Pelotons. I'm like, yo, what the hell? Like, y'all pressuring me, man.
Listen, man, I ain't gonna hold you.
This is the good kind of peer pressure. This is the good kind of peer pressure, though.
Listen, man,
right? You can get peer pressured into doing some dumbass shit, but getting healthy is there's never enough peer pressure for getting healthy.
I'm gonna be completely honest with you, dog. I'm down 50 pounds since June, and a lot of that is thanks to the fact that I got the tread right in the crib. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knows what it's like when you say I gotta go to the gym, and you make every excuse known to man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's hard to make an excuse when you put that thing right there. Like, I mean, you still can make an excuse. Don't get it twisted. You still can.
Hey, but listen, that's what I had a treadmill for years.
But that's what I mean.
No, I hung my clothes on that shit.
Listen, same here, beloved. Same here. But that's why I said they do an amazing job of gamifying it. Because once you start and you get these badges and these streaks, and you get more badges for the streaks, dog. Since I got the Peloton, I've not only have I lost 50 within that amount, and this is not a Peloton commercial, by the way, because they are not cutting us a check. But I'm just talking about them because it came up within this conversation. I've learned to meditate, which is all part of the program. They have that on there too. Yoga, all kinds of stuff on there. So I that's why I said it's an amazing purchase. But once you get in, it's hard to get out, dog. Like once they prick your finger, man, once you become part of it, once you become part of it, dog, that's it. So yeah, I think that looking at consumer products, getting back to our overall topic, looking at consumer products is always a great way to go about building out your portfolio. Unless you like half of my timeline, all they doing now is buying Tesla, man. It's like it's insane how many people are talking about nothing but Tesla on my timeline. And
yeah, the crazy part is Tesla has a consumer product. Their most valuable consumer product is not even the car. The battery is more. The battery is a more consumer product than a car, because my thing is, you can make all the electric vehicles in the world, but if you don't make enough batteries, then you can't put all of those cars on the road. So the thing that's going to actually make them pop is if they can actually make that battery and mass produce that battery that they were talking about, because then they become an energy company, and they have a foothold in the market that nobody else will have, being able to mass produce those batteries, because everybody else, and them included right now, got to build them batteries slow as hell, which is why you don't have a lot of electric vehicles on the road right now. It's because they can't build the batteries. The batteries drain, and is not enough electric charging stations for everybody to be on the road in electric cars right now. And so between all the new companies coming in and them building that battery, that if they actually build that battery, their stock price, they're gonna be at 3,000 again in a couple years. Like,
listen, man, I think they probably will. It's a lot of it is speculation. I think they're overvalued right now, considering what they generate. To me, their biggest asset is their CEO, right?
Yeah, it is.
To me, he's more valuable than their battery, than their car, than their anything. Because I've said this on here several times. It's the church of Elon.
It is.
And the one thing about cult stocks that scares me is, God forbid something happens to him, what happens to the company, right?
Yeah, man.
So when I'm looking at a company and this is just my personal thing, right? I like companies, and I heard Buffett mention this in the book. He's like, I want a company that a monkey could run. And I thought it was funny when he said it, but I actually understand him the more I study the marketplace, because, all right, let's take Coca-Cola, for example. We know Coca-Cola is going to make money regardless of whatever's going on, right?
Yep.
So there's only two places in the entire world that don't have Coca-Cola, which are North Korea is one of them, and there's one more. I'm trying to think where it is. Cuba and North Korea are the only two places in the entire world. Listen, they have infrastructure and systems set up that you can go in tomorrow as a CEO and they won't skip a beat. And they had this done across the entire world. So think about this. They're selling products across the globe. What happens if they raise their beverage price by 1 penny or 10 cents? Most won't even notice it. But what would that do to their bottom line? That's what I mean. But that's what I mean by a monkey being able to run it, right? Apple was able to make the transition because Steve left him in position to do so. But it was a scare there for a minute, like what happens after him. And some people that I see, the people who are bearish on Apple, that's the one thing they say. They're really not innovating anymore. There's only so many more things you can keep adding to the iPhone before you run out of tricks. So that's what the bears are saying, right?
Yeah.
So, but there's certain companies that have such a foothold in the marketplace, and that's why. And Michael brought this up too, when he said that these consumer discretionary sector is vital. It is. One of my favorite ETFs, VDC through Vanguard, is consumer discretion. That's what it is. Their top holding is P&G. Their second holding is Coke, and third is Pepsi. These are products that people are going to buy no matter what, and they have such a foothold in the marketplace that anybody can run them. So Apple was able to make that transition, but the jury is still out for a lot of people. I think they're a very well-run company. They have so much cash that I wouldn't question the way others do. But I see why people say that. I think about that when I think about Tesla, right? I think about that when I think about Berkshire. Everybody wants to have the wait and see approach. What happens to Berkshire when main man ain't here with us no more?
Yeah, when Munger and the other boy get out of here, because they both in their 90s.
Two cats gonna be in your 90s.
Yeah, they both in their 90s. So
listen, man,
that's why. I mean, I have I have
Yo,
a br- I
how are
have
you
the one.
working in their 90s? Who wants to work in their 90s? I mean, I guess they enjoy what they do.
I don't think he perceives it as work because it's what he's been doing his whole life.
Listen,
Like
if I'm
when you doing something in his second nature, I don't think you see it as work.
I'm gonna
It's
tell
not
you right
really
here,
work to
man.
him.
I'm gonna tell you on the audience right here, good brother. When I'm 90 years old, y'all gonna find me on a party boat in Jamaica, going back and forth to Rick's Cafe, making inappropriate comments to people's wives. That's what I'm gonna be doing. I'm just telling y'all that right now, man. That's what I'm gonna be doing when I'm 90, man.
Come here, young lady.
Look at that 30 on why is old man always on this boat? Because I'm 90 and I deserve to be. That's why. You know what I'm saying? Long-term wealth. Yeah, blood in, blood out. Everett, man, that's what it is with the Peloton gang, man. It's blood in, blood out, man.
It is.
Yeah,
Gang,
man.
gang.
Spoon says facts. Yeah. Yeah, man. But no, that's a fact. Though. I'm 90 years old. I ain't trying to be running no company, man. Listen, man. You know, y'all know where to find me. I just told y'all. But yeah, man. So my whole point is though, when you look at some of these companies like a Tesla or whatever, looking at the management is very important, and making sure that or if you have a company that anybody can come in and run, like I said, a monkey can come in and run it. Look at a company like Pepsi with their various products and all the things they own. P&G, all the things they own. A Unilever, a Colgate. You know what's another good company that you look at the products, you be like, they own all that? Clorox.
Yeah, man.
Yo, people look at Clorox, right? And they think that Clorox is just like a bleach. Clorox, the company, has a lot of different brands that they own.
Yep, they do. They own a lot of little extra brands. But they some of their stuff overlap with not overlap, but come into competition with a lot of P&G products and stuff. So
I'm just gonna give you a couple of things that they own, right? That now listen, this is under the Clorox brand. Pine Sol, right? They own Hidden Valley, like the ranch.
the ranch.
Like,
Yep.
they own the Brita brand, Glad trash bags, Kingsford charcoal, Fresh Step. If you have a cat, that that stuff right there. All the different Clorox products. Liquid Plumber is a Clorox. So they own a lot of like household brands. A lot of people don't know, but that's another one of those companies. You know what I'm saying? So another one brought up
3M. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another big boy. 3M. Yep,
Especially with the
3M.
COVID. 3M with COVID. Yeah. Clorox get around, man. They get busy.
Yeah. So that was my point. That was my own point about that though. But our overall point for this show, and shout out to everybody supporting us, watching us, sharing us, hitting the like button, was to really look at the consumer brands that you have and you use, take advantage of them. Look at something like Nike and how everybody's chasing these tech stocks. And I think it was Malik that brought it up. What was Nike in like March? $65?
$65.
Yeah. So, and what did they hit this? What was their high this week?
130. Doubled up.
They doubled up.
Like 132.
They doubled up. Right.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of folks that will watch this, that are watching it now, that will watch this in the future, who can look down at their feet and see Nike, but aren't taking advantage of the fact that it's a well-run company with a lot of great consumer products, a lot of great management. There's an excellent book. It's called Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, the founder of Nike. And that's a great business book, because we look at Nike, at least I do, as this big behemoth. But when you talk about someone just starting in the room with an idea, and he goes back and tells you the history of Nike, I think it's a very powerful business book. It's called the Shoe Dog. So I think that's very powerful. But if you're able to look down at your feet and see Nikes and you don't own Nike, then we got a problem as a community and as a culture that needs to change, because we're spending so much money with Nike. Let's own Nike and get paid with Nike. And let's look at all the consumer brands we use, right? Again, all of them aren't great, but our audience gave us a lot of great companies, a lot of great companies. Yeah. So
if you watch this episode, you can build a portfolio from this episode alone.
Think about the powerful portfolio you'll have. You'll have Clorox, you'll have Nike, you'll have Pepsi, you'll have Apple,
3M.
You know,
yeah,
you build a whole retirement portfolio just off this one episode. So I hope that you guys have recognized that. You know what I'm saying? It's not investment advice, just showing that it was kind of crowdsourced. You guys gave a lot of great information in terms of consumer products as well as tech, because tech was mixed in there too. YouTube TV and Google, Microsoft, Apple, Facebook, like you mentioned. So you can build a nice little portfolio just based upon this episode, man. But that being said, though, man, you got anything you want to say to the people before we get out of here, Core?
We love you. We love you. We glad that you come and support us. Y'all be buying hoodies, t-shirts, books, courses. Like, the support y'all give us allows us to put stuff back out into the world. It allows us to, be who we are. And so, you know what I mean? I'm gonna give my man JW as the meme king. It allows him to be the meme king, man. When y'all call me and y'all can get me on my phone at any point, when y'all call me, I answer my phone. It's because y'all support my products. Y'all support the Blatherhood products, is that I'm able to answer my phone at any point y'all call me. So I love y'all for that, man.
Yeah.
I love y'all for that.
And I noticed there's a lot of students from our Blatherhood University watching. I want to say thank you guys specifically. And also, we're going to go to the group, our private group, and kind of like, announce this to you guys then. But I'll tell it to you now. Anyone who's a member of Blatherhood University, we're also going to make this available to you. We want to start doing Zoom calls with yourself and your family. So if you have family that you think needs to get involved in investing or wants to get involved in investing, and this is free of charge, just to kind of like, give some, information about investing, how to get started, answer questions. We'll want to set up Zoom calls with all of you individually with your family, because we're not able to be in the streets the way we were. Because again, we used to go up to people's houses, community centers. We're not able to do that in the current climate. So we figured, let's get on Zoom, have people bring their family, friends on, mother, father, uncles, cousins, or whatever, and just chop it up with them and try to get everybody started, because we want to help the community get more investors. That's part of what we want to do. And it's free of charge. We're not selling anything at all. Just something that we want to do. Before we get out of here, let's go to some more comments. Big facts. Shout out to everybody that tunes in every week too, because we definitely appreciate that. ETFs also. Absolutely, man. Consumer discretion ETFs, but just a lot of ETFs are very powerful. I'm a huge fan of ETFs for a lot of reasons. I think that most people should be in an index fund or ETF, because they're not willing to do the research. But I talk about that all the time. I can't link out. Rich, definitely check in from the beginning, because this is a fire episode, because the audience gave us a full portfolio. Everett, we appreciate you as always. You know what I'm saying? Y'all listen, we love you, Latoya.
Yo, that's a crazy comment, man. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Young Brands, another powerful brand.
Yeah, they got 1,000 brands underneath them too.
Absolutely, man. So anyway, man, we're not gonna belabor this point, man. We're gonna get out of here. Don't make sure that you check in with us this Wednesday. So first of all, we have a podcast that just dropped this past Wednesday. It's a brother from Concrete Comics. This is an African-American young man who owns his own comic brand, right? And I say comic brand, he has, like, he's the Marvel, the DC, not a comic book. He owns the entire brand that has multiple comics under it, and it's a Black-owned business, and he's doing amazing things. So that just dropped this past Wednesday. Next Wednesday, we have a couple, right? Listen to this story. They paid off $224,000 worth of debt within 2 years. And now they're building wealth with their investments and what have you. But before they got to do that, they paid off over $220,000 in debt within 2 years with just determination, focus, and discipline. And they tell their story. That's coming up this Wednesday. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from, and take a listen to the current episode with Concrete Comics. And next week, when we talk about the couple that was able to pay off an amazing amount of debt and now, has high net worths because they don't have any bills going to interest on a monthly basis. Everything is going in their pocket. So I just want to say thank you guys for all your support. We appreciate you. We love you guys. And, hit us up on our personal pages as well as our pages. I'm about to get out of here and drop some more fire memes. So I'll holler at y'all later, but appreciate you. Peace.
Peace.